Hey guys, I hope everyone's having a good week so far. As you can tell by the title, it's something a little bit different today. If you have come from Instagram, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But in case you haven't and you're directly from YouTube, then I'm going to go into a little bit of what Ask Mike is. So let's get into it. So first of all, you're probably wondering what Ask Mike is. So to briefly cover it, what it is answering people's questions through what has been Instagram stories. And I do that every Thursday, so I'll go through my messages, and if there's any sort of question that I think can give value to other people, then I'll cover it in my stories. The reason why I started doing Ask Mike maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago was because I noticed a lot of people were asking the same questions, but I hadn't really covered it. So rather than just answering to one person, I figured, how can I provide as much value as possible? And the best answer I could come up with was to answer the DM, but do it on stories, so that if anyone else had that similar question or the same question, then they would get an answer and they would take value from it, really. So that was like the main sort of reason behind it. So that's sort of the main reason behind it. I just want to give as much value. At the end of the day, one of my core values is value. So I just want to help as many people as possible in the best way that I can. So I think stories on Instagram and YouTube is a good way to do that. So I may start implementing this for YouTube if people like it and people genuinely take value from it. So getting into it this week, the question is from Andreas, and he's asked 3 questions, so I'm going to answer them all. The first one is, what type of trader are you? So I'm a day trader. I like to manage my trades quite aggressively, but at the same time, if the market doesn't tell me to get out of the trade, then I will just hold the trade and build on it. And quite often this depends on the higher time frames. If a higher time frame structure is looking good and playing out and it has momentum with it, then I'll just look to hold the trade. I'll just look to hold the trade and build on it with as many scale-ins as possible. But despite the higher time frame structure, if the market gives me basically a clear sign to get out of the trade, then I will look to get out of the trade, and I'm just building it in stages rather than just one big trade scaling into it. And that's how I usually deal with it. That's how my style's evolved over the past 3 to 4 months, I would say. The summary of that is, and to answer the question, most of my trades are based off the higher time frame structure now, but at the same time I'm not afraid to manage it more aggressively. So my trades can last anywhere from like 2 or 3 days up to maybe 2 or 3 weeks, depending on that structure and how it reacts to the market, really. So that's the way my style's evolved over the past 3 to 4 months, and it suits my style as a trader, so I think it's sustainable. So the next question is, what are your best tips for someone who works full-time and combines with trading? So it's a good question, actually. So in terms of taking trades, I don't think it's that big of a deal when you are working 9 to 5. I learned to deal with it over time. It definitely took me a while, but the good thing is my style is purely setting entry orders rather than live trades. So if it was live trades, I think it would be tough to get into trades at work. But because I set entry orders, I'm able to anticipate moves ahead of time, and then either on my lunch break or before work, then I'll just set entry orders and then let those positions play out during the day, really. In terms of working your 9 to 5 job and then balancing trading on the side, it's definitely a tough thing to get your head around and to create a routine. Like personally, it was very frustrating for me, the fact that I would work 8-9 hours for someone else, spend an hour travelling there or back, and then maybe have 3 to 4 hours to myself at night. And it would be like from 6 o'clock to about usually like about 11 or 12 o'clock. But it used to really frustrate me. It used to frustrate the fact that I would exchange time for money. As I'm sure I've mentioned in other videos, I never really resonated with that at all. But at the same time, you learn to leverage your situation quite a lot, and I know I personally did. Like coming home and having 3-4 hours to work on your craft. Like you have to be efficient with time. You have to use those 3 to 4 hours fully committed to the task. No distractions, fully focused, in order to continue moving forward on a constant basis. So in that respect, it teaches you a lot about time management and using time to the best of your ability to get the most results. And I think it comes down to I think it was a book I read in November, December, was the 80-20 principle. I think it's by Richard someone, I can't remember who it is. But yeah, basically leveraging the 80-20 principle, doubling down on that 20% that gets the 80% of results. So for me, looking back, it was backtesting ASR forecasting was just coming into the equation back then. Yeah, so I really doubled down on backtesting. That was like a big thing for me, and that was kind of the thing that helped me progress a lot. So yeah, 80-20 principle is a big thing. So to answer the question, and if you're in a similar situation, leverage your time, use those 3 to 4 hours, however long you have, to double down on what works. Focus on those priority tasks that are going to help you move to new heights basically. So I think that's such a big thing. So once you get into a routine of doing that, like, you'll just build momentum and then just keep scaling it up over time. So moving on to the third and final question now. It is, which site do you use for news? So I actually don't pay attention to any fundamentals anymore. Back when I was using Forex Factory. I think that's quite a good website. But the reason why was, I actually got into fundamentals what I thought was quite deep at the time. It was something I really liked to get into. I used to break down monetary policy and look at central bank statements back at the early stages of my journey, like the first 3 to 6 months. But to be quite honest, I felt like it overcomplicated things that didn't need overcomplicating at all. And what I often found was I would have like a predetermined bias on a currency pair, which was fine. But then if any move lined up that was against that bias, then I wouldn't take the trade, and then I'd potentially miss out on a big move. So that was kind of frustrating for me. So at that stage, I took a step back, and that was around the April, May, June 2017 time, the time that I was just getting into Falcon at the time. And yeah, we don't use any fundamentals in Falcon. It's all about pure structure and nature. Like, the high time frame structure will always play out regardless. So news is quite secondary really. It's not needed in my opinion. Some strategies, like, you will find it helps, but in terms of us, we don't use it at all. But yeah, to wrap things up now, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've taken value from it. If you were thinking or wondering similar things, yeah, feel free to drop me a comment down below if you want to see anything specific in the future. But yeah, have a good week guys, and I'll catch you all soon.